This is the Golden Record. Well, this is the cover. This is the actual record. Aboard the Voyager 1 rocket, the record intended to communicate a story of our world to extraterrestrials. Among other data stored, the record housed 90 minutes of music. How exactly do you put together a list of songs to represent our species? This is the playlist of our entire human race. In the early 1970s, NASA was preparing the Voyager missions to explore the outer planets of our solar system and beyond. Recognizing that this spacecraft may one day drift into interstellar space, NASA decided to include a message intended for any intelligent life that may come across the vessel. This idea followed the Pioneer plaques, launched in 1972 and 1973 aboard the Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11 spacecrafts. These plaques carried symbolic messages of humanity on Earth. However, the Voyager team wanted a richer multimedia message that could convey the diversity of life on Earth. So, NASA chaired Carl Sagan as chair of a committee for this exact task. Sagan assembled a team that includes Frank Drake, who pioneered the Drake equation to estimate the number of advanced extraterrestrial civilizations in the galaxy. He also contributed his expertise in radio astronomy and interstellar communication. And Ann Druyan, a writer and producer, played a key creative role in selecting music and sound for the record. She also made a personal contribution by recording her brainwaves while thinking about love and humanity, a deeply symbolic gesture. Following, we have Linda Salzman Sagan, an artist that helped design the visual aspects of the project. Then John Lomberg, a science artist, collaborated on the visual imagery and diagrams included on the record. Then finally, we highlight Timothy Ferris, a science writer who contributed to the design of the music and audio content. Now let's talk about what was actually on the record here. Although made out of copper and plated with gold, this was a typical vinyl record and it was played back in the same way. Yet, in addition to sound, there were images encoded on the record. A total of 116 photographs and diagrams depicting human life, animals, plants, and landscapes. These images also included scientific diagrams and people performing physical tasks. The Golden Record itself is a 12-inch gold-plated copper disc, enclosed in an aluminum cover to protect it from micrometeorite impacts. The aluminum cover is electroplated with uranium-238, which can be used to date the record age through radioactive decay. The disc also includes a stylus and instructions on how to play it, with visual diagrams showing the playback method, and the data's analog encoding for the images. The disc had an allocated 90 minutes solely dedicated to music. This is the part that intrigued me the most, specifically about the collection process. Here is a list of all of the songs that are on the record and the country they came from. There's little to no actual information on the internet of how Sagan and his team came to choose these songs. Most of the information, including the NASA website, said that as a committee they just decided on these songs. Choosing the right songs for this disc is very difficult. They're limited by the amount of songs that they can put onto this disc with all the other data that they wanted to provide on it. But even then, if we look at a map of all the countries represented on this disc, we see a lot of clear holes here. And countries like America and Germany that are way overrepresented on this disc compared to global population. Now, I'm not going to act like it's a surprise that there's a little bit of bias here. I mean, this is NASA, an American organization, and Sagan's team was entirely American. This was also the late 70s, fresh out of the Vietnam War. America had a lot of nationalistic pride. It makes sense. But I definitely think that this record would have a lot of different selections if it was made now. However, this representation is made up a little bit more in the greetings section. Audio recordings of greetings in 55 different languages. Also very objective earth sound, like the sound of thunder, rain, and animal calls. Representing nature and Earth's natural beauty was not something that was difficult. But there were a lot of discussions on how we should depict the human race. How to balance cultural diversity in such a limited format. Should we even discuss war? The late 70s were a time where the past 100 years was just plagued by war, global conflict. It was still fresh in everyone's mind. But was that something that the Sagan team decided to put on the record? No. They ultimately wanted to depict Earth as a hopeful, peaceful, and vibrant world. There's also a question that if intelligent life actually receives this disc, will they know how to play it at all? Will they be able to figure out the diagrams? Will they be able to decipher any of the data? The team made it as easy as possible, but there's no guaranteeing that. And also the biggest thing, will this disc be found by any intelligent life? When you put into perspective how vast space is compared to the small little ship that the disc is being carried on? The answer is almost an immediate no. It's highly unlikely that any intelligent life form will be able to find it. But the Voyager 1 is just another one of those hopeful projects where we try to understand more about the stuff that we can't explain or that we cannot explore, and still being hopeful that any actual intelligent life will be interested on life on Earth. It's more symbolic than anything. These projects to try to find life outside of Earth reminds us how small we are in relation to the entire universe, and just how vast everything is, and it can make us feel a lot closer together, and it can make us realize how we're not all different. Life out there, millions of light years away, can seem really scary. It just really reminds us about how much we can do to work together and make life here as good as possible. If we can send a man to the moon, we can certainly work together to do other amazing things. And that's where I want to ask you something. Today, if you were tasked to make a playlist to send to aliens to best represent culture on Earth, what songs would you include? Would you emphasize current modern songs to represent culture today, or would you represent more culturally impactful songs? Songs from important events in our history? Would you put one song from each country on the disc, or would you bias one country or the other? Would you depict war and conflict on the disc, or would you try to portray Earth as a very calm and peaceful place? I'd love to hear your perspective in the comments. This channel has been growing so fast, I haven't even had a chance to thank you for 1,000 subscribers in a video yet, but right now we're at 3,576 subscribers, and that's just absolutely insane to me. I started this channel a little over 2 months ago, and it's been a complete blast, and I love making videos like this. I started this channel doing deep dives on decades throughout music and recording technology. And I love making those videos, but I also love that I'm able to make videos like this that aren't so tied to an era, and also aren't so specifically tied to music, but more about how culture impacts music and vice versa. That's the stuff I love talking about, and those are the connections I like making. I am working on a video on the deep dive of the 90s. I want that to be a way longer video than my normal deep dives are, because there's so much you can get into in the 90s, and I really want to do it justice. But thank you guys for supporting my content. It's been an absolute dream to be able to make money off of this. If you're able to support me directly, I would love if you bought some clothes from my clothing line. I'm wearing a hat right now from Lion Loom. We have holiday sweaters, we have an essentials line. It's just a great way to support me. It goes directly to me, and it helps make videos like this, make them even bigger and make them even better. If you're not able to do that, a like, a comment, subscribe, all that stuff really helps. Commenting is one of the best ways that you can boost engagement. And I promise, even though my last video has over 200,000 views now, I have read every single comment and I try to reply to as much as I possibly can. So go in the comments, continue this discussion. This conversation starts with me and ends with you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Appreciate you.